Hey everybody, Aaron Blaise here, and welcome to another episode of Aaron's Art Tips, number 16. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about animation, and more specifically, I want to talk to you about overlap in animation. I've just got a quick little tip on that, on how things kind of, when you move like an arm of a character, how maybe the sleeve will overlap, or how hair overlaps, or how different materials, when you think about the different physicalities, will have different traits in their overlap. But before I do, I want to throw out my usual shout out to Wacom and all of the great products. I really want you guys to go check them out. Today I'm using my Cintiq HD 24. I do all of my animation on it. I do my painting on it. I think it's a great tool and I use it all the time. I'm using their new companion right now. So go to wacom.com. That's WACOM.com. They've got great products. Go check them out. Also, go to my website if you want to see more of my stuff. My website is creatureartteacher.com. That's the art of Aaron Blaise, and it's creatureartteacher.com. And what I've got on there, I've got different tutorials, things on painting, drawing, much more elaborate versions of what I'm doing here on YouTube. So go check it out. And speaking of YouTube, if you like what you're seeing and you want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and tell your friends about it. I'm really trying to build up my following and see if we can kind of get a bigger audience for Aaron's Art Tips. So today I want to talk to you about overlap in your animation and how to make it fit the animation that you're doing. Now, I've dealt with a lot of young animators in the past, and one of the things that I see them sometimes have mistakes or struggle with a little bit is overlap. And it's overlap meaning, if I've got a ponytail, when I do this with my ponytail, you can see that hair kind of overlap. It reacts to the action that I'm creating. And that's basically what it is. It's an action reacting to another action. Okay? That's overlapping action. Now, we as human beings growing up on the planet Earth are used to seeing things work in a certain way because of gravity and the air and how everything interacts. So my hair, because we're in the air and it has a certain weight, will react a certain way and it will feel like hair. Now, if I go in the water and you see me do this underwater, you're going to see my hair react completely differently, but you'll inherently know that you could take away all the water that's in the shot and you would still know that I'm underwater because you're used to seeing those traits, that the heaviness of the water reacting against my hair. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is think about the weight. Think about all the properties of whether it's fabric or hair or rope or string of what you're going to be animating and apply those, because if you apply them the wrong way, then they'll come off looking wrong or different. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Here I've animated, this is TV Paint. This is a digital program that I use for my hand-drawn animation. And you can see a little dot right here. Now, let's imagine that dot is the anchor point of a string. Now I'm going to go ahead and press play, and you'll see what I've done is I've animated this dot moving around the screen. And you'll see it just zips around just randomly, okay? And it just jumps around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a string, and I've already actually animated them, but I've attached a string, or I shouldn't say a string, I've attached a line to this dot. Now when I move that, when the dot moves and that line is attached to it, I'm going to give that line certain properties and its overlapping action with its timing and its behavior that's going to give two completely different feelings. Okay, so the first one, I was imagining, let me find it here. There we go. So the first one here, you can see the line, there it is. what I was doing was I was imagining kind of a rope, maybe a heavier string, and it's in the air. And it's just hanging on, or it could be kind of a heavy cloth, that sort of thing. And I'm going to go ahead and press play, and you can see through imagining what these different traits might be, how that animation would come across. And now you can see, yeah, okay, it feels like it's hanging in the air. It's got a certain weight to it. It's reacting the right way. It's swinging. There's not a lot of resistance. So it's got a certain feel to it. Now I can completely change up that feel by animating to the same dot, which I'm going to go ahead and stop this real quick. And I'm going to knock this down. Now, way back when I was working on Mulan, I'm going to create the line again. Here we go. Way back when I was working on Mulan, I worked on a character named Yao, but I also was in charge of animating the ancestral ghosts, all the ghosts that came alive in the pagoda in the backyard. I think it was a pagoda or the room in the backyard. And I wanted them to have this very ethereal kind of underwater ghostly feel. And so the main ancestor, he had these big, long, billowy sleeves. And so when he would move, rather than overlapping in the way that you just saw with that string going, I wanted it to feel lighter. And I wanted it to feel kind of underwater. So, actually, I've got a clip I'm going to show you. You can see what I did there, where the sleeves just kind of move, and it feels very, very, I did it with the hair also. And so that's what I'll show you here. So you saw the first version of the string, or the line animating that I just did. Now watch, here I'm kind of keeping the same action, but I'm just changing the timing and just making things react much slower, and you can see that it's going to have a much different feel to it, like it's underwater. And here we go. See? So that's what I want you to think about when you do your animation. Think about the weight. Think about what's happening with that overlapping action with whatever character you're doing, okay? Because that adds reality. It adds a tangibility to your animation. Not just the acting, not just the expression, but the secondary things that we tend to forget that we do later on, that we just kind of blow off. Those things are important too, because it'll ground your character in reality, okay? So think about your timing on secondary action. Think about the behavior of it, okay? Anyway, I hope you got something out of it. I had a lot of fun showing you guys at least a little bit of animation here, although it was very simple. We'll get into some character stuff later on down the road. But anyway, until next week, I'll talk to you later. Bye.